we will skip this. And we go into the report for the analysis of the usage of each product and its impact on algorithm performance. Note that the outcome of we have performed this analysis, but the outcome of such analysis is still under assessment at the moment of writing this report. It's important we should wait a little bit more in order to ensure the full consistency and reliability of the outcomes. Note that we will include them in a new version of this report as soon as it's available. Nevertheless, it should be considered that during the summer, NEMOs and TSOs will have a limited availability. Let's jump now to the scalability report. So the main request for change ahead is the merge of the two clouds. For this request for change, we have proved that we are able to deliver adequate performance. So the conclusion is that we are able to complete the SDAC with extension to all European Union of the existing requirements and functionalities, and this implies the merge of the two clouds, increasing the time to first solution from 3.4 to 4.1 minutes. We have done also a simulation regarding the future network data regarding the implementation of the Nordic and the core flow base, in which we haven't been able to use a complete set of data, and we haven't included the 15 and 30 minutes. We have prepared a scenario for only the 15 minutes applied through all bidding zone with a big bang approach. That means that we have exclusion functionalities that at this moment are not available in Euphemia. For instance, the cross-matching of products of different MTUs. This cross-matching functionality is something that is required in order to support several products with these distinct MTUs in the same or in different bidding zones. So the 3-year scenario we have prepared, we have the anticipated usage of existing products and requirements for 2020. We have included the M&A extension and the geographical extension, which is the marks of the clouds, and modeling the Allegro cable. For the scenario number 2 is the scenario number 1, excluding the modeling of the Allegro cable and including the flow-based model data. We have excluded the Allegro cable because we don't have flow-based data in which we include the impact of the Allegro cable. And the scenario number 3, which is the full set of CACM requirements, we include here the scenario number 2, and we add the anticipated growth, and we extend it to 2022, and we add the go live of 15 minutes with the limitations I commented before. That means following a big bang approach, and we simulate them using 90 days by taking one full year batch and assigning 4 sessions to a single one in order to properly model the 15 minutes. Anticipated usage will be commented later. So for the scalability scenario, it should mention that the algorithm is fully able to support the extension of the algorithm to the 2 clouds, and also support the flow base and the M&A to all Euro. And it should be important that starting from the April 2020, the maximum computation time that is allocated to the SDAC algorithm has been increased from 12 to 17 minutes. Well, this is the list of requests for changes. It's important to note that the roadmap is prepared once per year, and for the preparation of scenarios, sometimes we have to exclude some requests for changes because are outside the scope of the algorithm, for instance, the HMMCP. Others are mutually exclusive. For instance, when we have some network topologies, if we use NTC coupling or a flow base, we have to decide between one or the other, because both cannot be simulated at the same time.
Alvaro, sorry to interrupt you. I would like to provide just one comment on the thing. If you can see, this roadmap takes, I think, 7 slides. It's a quite extensive table. This is providing you, first of all, the full evidence of all the changes, extensions, new algorithms, new functionalities, which are currently in the pipeline for the next years to come. And you can see how many they are. This has always to be followed and supported by the evolution of the algorithm, because sometimes an extension is only more demanding in terms of performance. Some other times, new requirements require changes to the code of the algorithm. So this is an extensive list from the practical perspective of the effort to be devoted and the continuous search for new solutions. From the stakeholders' perspective, this roadmap is something which was agreed upon in the CACM report. All what you see here is a compliance with the algorithm methodology requirements in order to provide the market the full perspective, transparency, and evidence of what is expected to go live in the next years, when, and then in the following parts of the report, you will see which is our estimation on the impact on performance of these changes and the related R&D in order to improve. So this is a very relevant effort to provide everybody, because the same information which are providing to you in public is the same information provided to an erased ESRIN Commission in the restricted fora. So it is a strong exercise of full transparency and of quantitative assessment of the impact of the policies when we launch new requirements following regulations, for example. So this is potentially a bit annoying to see, because it is a long list of data, but it is an extreme value in terms of what I just said. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you, Cosimo. Well, let's continue. Let's see the result of the scalability. As you can see, with the data has some, for one of the scenarios, the number of PTDFs explodes, and the number of flow-based bidding zones also increased almost fourfold. For the products, we have the number of products we have used for the simulations. We have like 2 groups. We have the bottom right part of the graph, in which we apply and projected the growth observed in the last year, the number of years in order to match the year of the scenario we are testing. And for the top left orders, you see that we have been combining the orders of 4 different sessions in order to properly emulate a 15-minute scenario. As you can see, for all but the 15 minutes scenario, we are able to provide the first solution in a reasonable amount of time. That means that for the 2020 forecast, we observe an average of 5.4 minutes, and all sessions are always below the 10 minutes. For the 2020, including the flow base in Nordic and core, we have an average of 4.1 minutes. And all sessions are below the 8 minutes. And for the 2022 scenario with the 15 minutes MTU emulation, we haven't been able to find solutions before the 30 minutes. Well, let's go to the last part of this SDAC section. Note that formally we started the R&D activities in 2019. We have delivered very promising prototypes. We propose also a new product for which we have done a public consultation, and it has been already sent to Acer in the amended version of the products method, SDAC products methodology. And those most promising requests for changes, in which we include a revision of the LTA inclusion of the PTDF model, and also some functionality in order to improve the time to first solution when we have complex orders, are going to be included in the next release of FEMIA 10.5. So it's important to note that most of the R&D report it will be focused the next year towards the 15 minutes implementation. It's very important to note that this should be done in coordination with the local derogation that exists. Note that this R&D will cover other functionalities that for the 15 minutes product that are not covered at this moment and should be studied, such as the cross-matching functionality. Well, in the past, we didn't have a formal R&D project, but this didn't mean that we didn't have any R&D activities. As you can see in this graph, we have done a continuous improvement of the algorithm through the years in order to cope with all the needs from the different requests for changes, some of them that that require a big improvement in performance. Well, regarding on how we have had this R&D plan, this is the first year we have done it formally and following the content of the algorithm methodology that it has been approved later in 2020. The overall program will span 3 years with an overall budget of 650 kilo euros. We have 3 areas for research: hardware, software, market design, and we classified the R&D actions in 3 groups: the non-disruptive, the moderately disruptive, and the highly disruptive. Those are also classified in order to provide short, medium, and long-term new features. Most of the outcomes of the R&D are always measured regarding the time to first solution, especially when we deal with scalability improvement. But for the optimality and repeatability, we use other indicators. For instance, for optimality, we use the optimality gap measurement and the number of PRBs. Well, this is the graph of the R&D program, which basically aims to deliver adequate performance in time for the implementation of the request for change and the go live they have defined. And for the 2019 R&D program, we have carried on the scalable complex orders, in which the time to first solution were reduced significantly. We have improved the optimality when we use scalable complex orders instead of complex orders. And this new product will be delivered in FMEA 10.5. So FMEA 10.5 will be capable of supporting this new product. So the complex order first, this is a software change in order to improve the heuristic to manage the complex orders, and we have observed that the scalability has been improved by reducing the time to first solution by 34%, and we have also improved the paradoxically rejected blocks, which is good news, not only for complex orders, but other kind of orders. Regarding the network topology, we have done some changes in order to make the implementation of the flow-based model and also the LTA inclusion less performance demanding. So time to first solution has been reduced also a lot, around 56%. Note that further ideas have been prototyped during 2019 regarding the network topology, but they had not been approved because they were early dismissed due to they were not promising enough to consider them. Well, regarding the distributed architecture, this is a hardware and the action in which we aim to increase the scalability and optimality by parallelizing the computation not on different cores in a single machine as it has been done since FMEA 10, but distributing the computation in different machines. The early prototypes saw a reduction in this time to first solution by 24%, but during 2020, there is additional work ongoing in order to improve this value. Well, the future R&D is mainly focused on the 15 minutes, which is probably the most challenging request for change ahead. Note that this 15 minutes R&D program will include the cross-matching functionality that is required for some configuration of the 15 minutes MTU. We will be progressing in and proposing new changes to the existing heuristic, and we will explore also the change to existing products design. We will explore also the alternative pricing rules, but for the time being only without implementing a prototype. As you can see in this table, the early dismissal, the R&D actions in which we have dismissed them quite early were the treat the point first, the vendor cut for both complex order and blocks, and improving data cleaning for transforming interpolated curves into steps in order to get some gains in the time to first solution. Here ends my presentation, and we can have the question and answers for the SDAC.